clean up the streets. If you didn't look like this, I would have stabbed you with a mongrel's Mongolian paternal leave-more. Prophet of propane. Do you want me to hit you with the Uno reverse card? He reached for his deck unsheathed. I seek out all the unholy strikes. I will become a warrior legendary and dress in capes and silk. They teach one here. Do you have what's required? He was asking tough questions. Honestly, I will try my best. This technique is auxiliary. I don't judge a man by his farts. He was shredded, thus topless, with a grey angel-looking haircut and array of weapons. Light grey skin, burning grey wings, red eyes like from hell, a mercenary and poignant piercing prowess. His two-handed sword heavy like religious. For a man bigger, it hovered as he crossed his arms. Two big grey rapper-like pants. In fire magic arrogantly advanced firefly course, they stood in front of a short, fat, big-headed grin with a large, remarkable nose. He had a beard black and white like a raccoon tail, but it stood straight forward just like his piercing mind. He was short-tempered and stupid about lots of many modern chivalrous things, but surprisingly cunning. Smart to work less, saving his time whenever he had to not put effort. Ulrich had the perfect grin of business. Fire is by its nature consuming instead of giving. Something can be its source, an animal if you're into that it's hard to grasp, like something you never understand. Fire is not like other elemental magic. It needs some other physical energy to transform, like black powder into, well, fire. Harness energy from other elements or summon fire draining you. You can see some techniques drain you into passing out territory. Practice mana, eat fire stimulants anyway. The perfect fireball should be deadly in explosion damage, area and fire over time. Practice with me until it changes color. They are reliable to go back to but mostly reliable in damage. Eat these capsaicin pills. If you snort them, they can get rid of migraines. True. A cheeky squirrel-looking lady, well, human look first, but still remarkably squirrel, already made a blue-purple fireball, as hot as it gets, 30,000 Kelvin plus. Most were red to yellow, 3,000, 6,000 K. James tried and tried getting his fireballs white, 10,000 K. He read books and detail, follow along swings and dotted notes. If he didn't do it now, he would before fire lessons were over. They practiced melting chocolate sculptures, detonation, breathing fire, which was a fire technique like reliable and proficient. Students blew white blue textured sparkles, dragon breath projectiles. You need to be like the blackest,
Yo,
most
what's up,
smouldering
multitude of
lava
people?
lake, Squirrel said. Think like you left something too long in the oven. I didn't get this far by not being cognizant. What if it was a baguette? Keep it over 20 minutes. What if it was in Finland? Keep it over 24 minutes. You are a terrific student. James was conjuring hotter fireballs, maybe, he thought. Good job, student, said Ulrich from beneath, hot like a pie oven. James felt full of power, compliments and spirit overtaken in almost not his control. He glued genius orange body and eyes and unleashed lightning white tread strange and thick. The dummy melted and happily returned. Wow, this is quark glue on plasma, 150,000 Kelvin. Another form of fire class, I must tell the principal and my aunt. Turns out James could channel fire and power like a particle accelerator experiment, now to figure out how to do it again. Chaos and random was at the tip of his
Class is a
fingers.
good name.
James met a superhero for the first time, Pigeonman. I was born to fight crime in this lawless land, tooth and claw. You have superpowers, James said fair. I have wings, I can fly. He flapped his wings. Yeah, you really look like a pigeon. I also make beer. He put his foot on a bag of barley, drink pigeon. I saw a giant hourglass speaking to me like the depth of a sun. We have a giant hourglass with spheres but fixed gyro. It tells the time until our end. Not where I come from, James said bravely. It's different here. Your seers foresee the end. They try their best, it's always on a Friday. Chapter 4 begot baguette. In the stabbing magic class, James followed the 5 piercing truths, and from a magical half-breed British elf mercenary. He did more than shank, he believed in the book of stabbing. Stabbing into someone's liver is something to consider because... Crash, the window broke. A French assassin stood bent upon the window slit. He was smoking unfiltered primitive cigarettes, wore a black suit with white bow tie, and his face looked very rugged and attractive to women with thick brown curly hair. His suit was fitted with a tricolor tie shaped advanced like one would learn from the internet in this day, and age at the top. Arnaud was charming and had qualities of subtleness for women, but he was impossible in this sense for other men. They saw through him, he was a brother, but grey. The emptiness he noticed even himself between white wine and cigarettes. It was so expensive, everything fitted near perfect to the skin. His haircut had to be good. His ass looked perfect in the black pants, bouldery and square yet tight like it must have a cost. Maybe he could make someone else pay the cost. His ass was inconspicuous yet present, for women and not for deeper analysis. You know if an ass is for women if it feels like you should not question it.
It's all true, by the way.
Which one
Your
is James
description of
thus? His
asses.
cigarette switched sides. I and Jaren are terrific smokers. It was considered a fine thing. What they didn't know is how resistant they are to cancer. Could be me, said Fat Kid Fubar with a dragon t-shirt. No, it's me, said James, I think. I'm sorry someone sent me to kill you, I'm thinking about the money already, he said too honestly in a thick French accent. Die for Ihenjar and superior warriors. He pulled a baguette out of his belt and whacked it menacingly. Firm hand, strong baguette hours ticking like fate. He was getting psyched up. Take it outside, James, don't kill my new cactus, said the teacher Heineken strong lager. James jumped into him and out the window 2 stories below and landed on the Frenchman. You're lucky you landed on me, he said like he was talking to someone stupid. They spun and wrestled with his daggers like a naturistically symmetric argument until the Frenchman threw him upright. James could make his fingers strong enough in absolute unit that he could deflect the dagger. He clawed with angled arms, powerful like a bear, until a mistake put the dagger in his neck. James clutched his neck and would deflect his attacks with one hand, flailing like a sloth. The Frenchman was too fast really with his dagger, knowing attacks hard to defend against. Bombs Humphrey non-baguette. The assassin threw explosive strawberry pain chocolate. James looked handsome as they removed his eyebrows. It smelled like berries and jasmine. James only had a throwing hammer rebound with him. I am a fighter in a suit, just like the dwarves. I can get used being in a suit. The suit seemed to flow through his muscles. There was something that didn't fit into it. What you should notice is my hair. Whoosh. This is a good afternoon for a battle. They screamed and went clashing epically. What would he do with a baguette despite being delicious? They collided, warhammer and baguette clad in absolute unit. Wills collided with grins and jawlines, yet they were so different. The baguette was hard as any steel, acting like a cudgel of winding steel drive. Someone this skillful can choose any weapon. The assassin with the same position struck him, moving through gliding with arrogant power. In 1 second James was flying thus surprisingly like he was outskilled, having moments to think 4 meters in the air. But we'll see, it's just the start of the fight, writer's edit. James turned and shot his cannon, but the assassin was fast enough for his neck. Somehow he puffed smoke behind him thus, with time to pull time into his frequency, through easily interrupted. If nothing unexpected happened, his strides would be a glimpse through time, and in his fighting intelligence he had a lot of room. I need to stop smoking. It's making me nauseous and sick, thin and weak. Your hair is on fire. The Frenchman applied more dappardin gel to his hair, creating a smoky smell and putting out the fire. Your baguette has reached its length. There is continuity and finiteness. And it will be bad for you, baguette length termination. He made a devastating explosive punch that spawned 100 baguettes like a fountain in the punch direction. Surprising bear party. Arnaud
Resti
punched with the
questo
same
dopo la
arm again with
message.
classical punch summoning magic, spawning 10 bears flying upset, rotating in different directions, expecting to return to the ground like an accountant. Forbidden baguette glacier. Arnaud summoned a 50-meter baguette, hands in the earth that knocked him away, shocked by the impending destruction he feared for himself. He was an assassin and competitive with the new power level of this place. He would have to adjust tooth and claw. If he could do this, maybe he should think about strategically running away, fighting again when more powerful. His baguette elongated into a 2-meter dual end, spiked long rye baton. Buffalo drop kick. Arnaud just threw himself at him. Tomato barbecue baguette is a filthy lie. He seemed to gather power, glorious and seamless like Velcro. He twacked in an assault one end at a time, gracious and spinning quite aggressively and Frenchly like a mealy. If he mentions baguettes again, I'm going to have a seizure, said Hugh. Tomato barbecue baguette is supposed to be a one-time new experience. That's why it's so salty. James deflected with truth, holding his ground, unafraid, strafing back, sacrificing every position for defense ever so linear. On order salt, power burp baguette, assassin baguette, heavy baguette, baguettefire, imaginary baguette. James started screaming and clasping his head at the imaginary baguette technique. Ag, what are you doing? Can you just skip that one? Sparkling connotation baguette, corrupted baguette, Felix baguette, quarter-baked, strenuous false ultimate hypocrite baguette, brittle breakneck baguette, karate Wednesday baguette, backseat driving ostracized ostrich tremendous baguette, end of psychology subscription baguette, resolute forgetful baguette, resounding tax evasion baguette, more baguette remedy, Farquaad haircut baguette, unforgettable proping guiltiness baguette, dire baguette, betting your life baguette, constipated stressful goat certainty baguette, Tempest terror baguette, breathtaking baguette, death empress baguette, stauncy starchy baguette, killer disco with a midget baguette, baguette immobilization. Power into power baguette, lowest common denominator imposing guerrilla defense attorney baguette, backwards mile baguette, overwhelming audacity breakfast steak baguette, baguetteless blindness low fitness baguette, misspelling spelunking baguette, baked, slapped and burnt baguette, stupendous baguette, merciful baguette, gent gin baguette, ghost of calories forgotten baguette, winter unhinged berserk baguette, contemporary baguette, opposite direction of contemporary baguette. Get your hand off my ass commitment baguette, opposite baguette to a direction of exponential. Hot sauce in the eye baguette, roundhouse clean baguette, garlic baguette, merciless gorilla squaredance / waltz baguette, transforms into a double-tipped spear asterisk spear baguette, baguette fireball. The fireballs spawned baguettes asterisk unforgettable front teeth baguette, drunk diplomat baguette, 50 shekel pound baguette, baron drunk baron baguette, ultra immolation baguette, drunk for a month baguette, golden idiot baguette, baguette superstimulus landmine baguette, a third infinite baguette, platinum baguette, tectonic supreme baguette, believing you are a hamster for a month baguette, spirit baguette, spade la pied baguette, steroid seagull baguette, dynamite picnic basket baguette, subjugation baguette, snorted holy harmonic chili baguette, upside down contemporary angle baguette, ouchie finger baguette, arriving expositionally, phonetically, grammatically baguette, vengeful lacerator baguette, king always me baguette, captivating unyielding captive compound baguette, beneficial bilingual baboon Babylon baguette, camel aggression consistency stick to it baguette, hole in my pants baguette, sensible triumph baguette, illegal parking as a rich dwarf baguette, defense attorney baguette. Spirit baguette, interrupted golfer with presumptuousness baguette, trapdoor baguette, Archibald bald baguette, count armpit baguette, politically inactive baguette, armchair analyst baguette, decapitate defenestrate deflagration baguette, infinite tuba session baguette, sacred infinite yodel weekend baguette, giant goat screaming like Taylor Swift baguette, lactose farting backhand baguette, stuck in traffic with a gorilla baguette, mind baguette gaslight, harking herd baguette, faint flaunt baguette, ostensibly onslaught baguette, parrot peril baguette, high glycemic index baguette, toe jam and earl baguette, pretending to be in pumpkin and bury yourself in the garden baguette, baguette tendrils, wish upon a baguette beyond insanity and tearful tango baguette, feet tackled by a deer baguette, horizons tear-jerking baguette, conception baguette, crocodile tastes like chicken baguette, roaring C4 presumptuous baguette, soufflé fjord baked, last season of House Roadhouse kicking baguette, stark stirring mad baguette, suggestive ruminating baguette, sublime scintillating baguette, but piracy baguette, gluten-free baguette, pulling a puma in the balls hairstyle baguette, preemptive but incorrectly timed baguette, spot weakness baguette, enigmatic IQ shoe size baguette, interloper's banana skid into a freezer baguette, transforming into an orangutan at 70 baguette, bayonet baguette, baguette torsion, square deep-fried hamster as flute baguette, precision from a silly position baguette, illusory baguette, being a whaler seagull catch put into a baguette, fut baguette cannon, undulating undertaker baguette, railgun baguette, upsetting baguette, nether-baked, beyond upsetting baguette, squawk square parrot preeminent danger baguette, ardent baguette, world horsebreath baguette. James was completely busy defending the assault. Usually attacks bounced off him like he had a power belly. James was tired of the variety and would put him in the ground. He would have to make things personal. Thank God it's over, said Hugh, and then he died in an implosion. Do you have any strong opinions about Bert Carlson? Paris Baguette, the Frenchman power to act echoing, knocking James back 8 meters like hit by a thundermaul. James was wondering, what was he doing on his back having dug up the ground? James threw a circular hammer, but he blocked with a raspberry tart. Arnaud threw a fast-to-rise baguette, but James caught it. Mockingly, he ripped a bit and put into his mouth. Delicious, now you are unarmed. I even make it taste delicious. C4 presumptuous baguette. James' face exploded, he went to the ground. Main characters are resistant to explosions. James coughed smoke, recovering like grammar. I feel strangely fine. You need to recover like a hero, rise up maybe. I'll custom the next explosion. James exploded into a direction with beautiful hair like floating in deep sea. That's too real, man, maybe you have been a baker. Explosion. Baguette masters aren't contemporary and real, you aren't going to fool me. James wasn't pleased, and when he got his hammer again, he threw it like a Sioux mal hungry into his chest. The Frenchman landed on his genetical buttocks and his cigarette flew. Of course I can beat him, I'm going to crush. Here's a genius technique no one is prepared for. He's a silly sod, what is a victim? I'll show him the seasonedness of assassins and reflex before death. Clash asterisk. Arnaud rose to his knees, back to him, hands on the grass, snorting 3 times. You were supposed to beat him. You were supposed to never lose against a bodybuilder. You don't need that. I should not smoke at work, he said like an infinite amount of accent. French steroid and Olympic dominator, Le Raoul, rule. His arm's glue got bigger and lighted with blood fear. He came expecting James to face it. Arrogant power, beast bloodfire. Hunger slap, ravenous baguette, I mean hunger. James slapped him, deflected attacks like contesting wills and headbutted him like a frying pan. James slapped him again like a bear and outranged him. It beat his attack, knocking him incredibly 3 meters left at a sharp angle like getting hit by a drunk London double-decker. I'm not drunk, said the London double-decker. He tore up the winter pineapple and pine garden with leaves like palms. Some students were looking in the windows. This battle was getting exciting. James crunched in his fingers and uprooted the only tree nearby and swung against his double baguette. It was an even match. Blows were parried quickly, skillfully minding footwork and by-the-book baguette defense. The Frenchman had rhythm and danced the dance of alluring baguettes. Hulk slam, lightweight tree remodeling garden. He was spinning with the tree and over his head, making sure he actually added more power to his attacks. Die, Mr. Norwegian, or whatever, silly man, don't make me blow this place away. And I want your robot arm that looks really cool. I object completely to this assassination, and thus there must be a way a court can stop this. You could file a police report. No, they don't exist here. Look, if you give me some cash, I can tell them you were hit off a cliff and probably died. It's a hard world for a man with stuff. Let me have a whiff of that cigarette you're lighting. James planted the tree facing the wrong way, and they sat down exchanging dwarf coins. Minus 450 quid. Okay, you are definitely off the cliff. Who sent you? He was hooded but had this ridiculous stuffy Spanish accent. His impression was like a banker, You know, I only do this to have work and also the money. I'm a professional. I like to imagine people don't mind getting killed in business. You know, like I'm not bloodthirsty or anything. I don't kill women unless they're big fighters. They have never defeated me. Who knew if it was true? Expert Arnaud, his mannerisms told him something that made sense to him. The accuracy James did not have, like being able to push yourself on a good day. What do you think about safer jobs here, mate? Are you cowardly in this strange land or trustworthy and reliable if you have safe jobs? I think I manage myself fine in Ihenjar. Only one guy I ran from her. He was a huge red orc man for Alok date. I told them I killed him. They never checked I got paid AAH. Then he ransacked their village, no witnesses. He raised his hand for a high five like a degenerate. Smack. Free money, James said. I could do with more friends. I have a giant bunny and I drink anything you throw at me. James. Sure, whatever, you can hit me up, homeboy, as I finish up magical curses. Fuck. A bear stood next to them and bellowed belligerently, being upset at the things they were doing. They countered the aggression with intending ignorance. The bear sat down on its butt. Do you fight with something else then, baguettes? Yes, I also have these gourmand breadsticks and a brick. Oh, it's signed by Bert Carlson, what do you know? Do you go to the school here? Yes, they call me Arnaud thus. I was in the class from the next window. He shaked his hand, pronouncing his name with a cigarette in his mouth, switching. They went into the opening into the school, with a Greek statue of Pex the fire mage. Arnaud smacked him on the ass. "Ugh, hit me again," said the statuette. "I come from a species of Ihinjar aquatic Frenchmen with gills and fins. On land they can only walk sideways." Arnaud took an Ihinjar tuna and swallowed it like a seagull. "You are genetically a marvel," James said, tolerant and interested. "I still have a throat pocket like all birds to store food. I have my wallet there sometimes, or haegel." He coughed up a haegel. "You have a mini baguette there, don't you? I can tell." James flexed his intelligence. "What I enjoy baguettes, I enjoy the occasional indulgence. What are you, some kind of anti-baker?" "You don't have to defend yourself," said James, tolerating something, allowing him to be flawed. "Honestly, baguettes can be a very thin white bread that tastes very good with delicacy cheese. The French flour is legendary, quantified. Thinner bread makes tastier cheese." James threw a flounder. "A fucking flounder," said Arnaud and jumped after it. Arnaud talked James into magical curses where they had weakness, weaken, suffer, which was a form of weaken and weaken weapons. "Yes, you can still do curses and be a decent person," said a balding white-haired sorcerer in red-purple robes with adventurous eyes. "It is a means to an end." "But magic classes are a means to an end. In the first book we have amplified damage, reduce resistance to magic, reduce resistance to elements and quicken bleeding, which also makes them use more energy. We shall also practice making their swords burn, sluggish snail arms with cursed feet and Seer's mind grab. We're just going to do the mind end."
I think I need to go and buy some breakfast from the nearby gas station. We are old sword enemies. No, maybe not. Honestly, it fits in with other stuff I have to do today. I really want some fika. I'm feeling bereft of fika. I'll be back soon, as quick as I can. It's in the next building.
We're just going to do the mind entering part, which is illusory, weakening and confusing. James was proficient at Seer's mind grab. Just as he was spiritual, reducing resist would make him overcome immune enemies, so he practiced keenly. "I have a contract, James," someone at the school, tall mister. Astute Albert gave me his money just to name and take this guy's stuff. Goat Cheffy box of infinite hammers earlobe. He's poor, brittle like crackers, concerned with history and without defense. What do you say to taking Albert's stuff then? I will give this boy Mr. Earlobe something thus. Don't we already have a character named Albert? Espound Hall West entered with student minding easily offended things and pushing their caffeinated health. Feet pictures was on his mind always, magical pictures, to take feet pictures when people weren't looking. Albert was thinking. "Hey Arnaud, did you take his stuff? It's a free country." Arnaud went up and smacked him silly 5 times with his locker and kicked him in the nuts with unaccessible power. Something broke the hall, and he went into the ceiling. Tall, astute Albert said, head stuck in the ceiling. "You're not serious, a bleeding heart-conscious assassin." "We spell it assassin in French, I am passionate." Albert pulled out a scroll that Arnaud cleft and hit him grievously with a baguette. "Your baguette is weak," said James menacing, pointing a finger. In the end they took his stuff and buried him, legs sticking up hairy, in the garden. Here is a scene where the camera is zooming in on his legs where what I sare, that it's all for the best, song is playing, legs are zooming in from 3 angles. He has magical shrines, feet pictures of female orcs, his mailman and collected scrolls and baubles. One-timers is something getting used to. They gave the cash to Goat Cheffy earlobe. Goat Cheffy bowed like a goat, thus unintelligible. Arnaud visited his mercenary friend Von Vague and wife Von Valorant. In the hospital he had fought his last contract. He had taken a troll twice his size, Alpha, and wasn't even that stupid. Arnaud was eating a parrot. Even worse, he was swallowing it like a seagull. It looked like something contemporary to throw up, like something you put into your throat pocket for easy utility. The feet were sticking up and red plumage shone like night luminescence on primal canvas. "Wow lady, Yepsadoodle, remember when I asked if you had a sister?" "They think nothing will wake him up now, sniff asterisk. He has been laying dormant like tears in a dying breath." Nothing.
I have a hard time thinking. What
Arnaud
am I
went to
supposed
his
to do?
bed. Come on, bro, you gotta lock
Yeah,
in.
I didn't sleep
Lock
enough.
in. You said this wasn't going to be the last as long as the
It's
locating
morning. At
baguette
least
to
you
bed
guys
switch
be in
isn't
the kitchen
found.
window.
As Arnaud said lock in and shook his shoulders vague, rose quickly and military, he looked ready for orders and breathed brutally through his nostrils. If you passed away, my life would be lifeless and grey. We still have silly things to marvel and deceit, plan the end of teleportation nerds, send them all to Jacksonville. You can't say that. He went on to live another 47 years. In classical offensive magic, all through fire is burning. James took the weekend to get back to Archspire and found Toadsburg picking small strawberries and being very uncomfortable with all the animals and people. I will finish my training, I won't forget about it and watch entertainment, it exiting my mind like excellence. You can have a lesson in the duel rooms right now. Let's get rid of the sauna dwarves. Do you think anyone has ever been hit by the unholy strike, first in the nuts and survived? Silencio por favor. Entereth dual room. Elemental adapting absolution or elemental unit is a way to adapt to your elements, it's earth magic. I will cut you and insert an evergrowth curry seedling in your
Yeah, that's
stomach.
about it.
It is part of the curriculum. James got over the cut as quickly as his lunch. Focus on your resilience eternal like the stars cosmic and grow into a sentinel thus. James and Toadsburg grew into an exoskeleton that looked like mahogany wood, like a smooth treat. His face was ruined, gleaming chest and shoulders sleek and fashionable. Faceless, expert and alien he was. Eternal seed of growing and growing through you are. Very resilient against ice, water, cold, accountants, earth, heat and air. Also this tree doesn't catch on fire. You will find you need less energy, water and oxygen and age 3 times slower like this. Stay like this when doing nothing like waiting or less like meditating. Are you meditating? Practice with me. Once you get really good you can turn into a fire, blood, water or air elemental shortly, completely and absorb the element. In a year I will teach you regeneration. Trick your opponent into using a fire attack, turn into a swirling elemental, regrow your hand fiery. It will still be there when you unmorph. It is worth learning, finish the quantified disillusion. Live longer the more you exercise this. It isn't taxing just like being a thin sardine. This would drain your mana like regrowing a real hand, making you dizzy and focused on taking it easy, but I think you can handle it. Without complaining they soundlessly practiced, until after one day he was going to go back to university. He saw someone getting backstabbed by a baguette, and somehow steal multiple wallets at the same time. What are you doing? You didn't see anything, said Arnaud, and started stealing from another guy's pocket. Let's eat some of this dwarven earthy food, Arnaud. It's on me this dwarf was rich and behind on payments. Dwarven fine restaurants had exclusive bread and butters that were very comfortable eating and easy to eat continuously, carrot and a vegetable that only grew here, dwarven artichoke into soup. Wine testing and wine
Oh,
pairing
you
followed.
need
James
socks.
thought the wines were unimpressive for the cost, but fit the food well. Small birds and mashed potatoes main course, then it was crackers and cheese. This was something exceptional that they were sad it would eventually stop, so they agreed with the luxurious servitor, who had the most luxurious silver rings and bracelets in his dwarf beard. They bought another round of just crackers and cheese. That is a delicious yogurty blue cheese. Inspired by my boss's salary, said the dwarf. Rye is disgusting unless it has a cheese wedge on it. Arnaud. Back at university James was learning alchemy. Something that interested him was to make bombs. Curious and productive like procuring a building. First idea, super poisonous and
It's a nice
flammable
name.
gas bombs that cover
Scottish.
all enemies, then he would protect himself in absolute unit and detonate. Stun bombs, he didn't alter his enemy's senses often, he thought strategically. After grinding and reading, he figured out a custom way to make impact grenades, knocking people off like explosive trampolines. He called them blueberries. The book recommended making adamant silver bombs that addled mages' magical abilities, or poisoned dragonglass also works, but can be cured with black gull if prepared. It said some asshole always is. Flash adamant bombs to blind. If the dragon can do magic, its intestines or half-giant liver can be used to make bombs that blinds you and instills fear for 10 minutes, even if you did not look at it, like an error in your brain. Scarecrow he named this thus. He found half-giant's liver in a butcher shop magical shop. and went home crafting bombs like a dirty inventor. James' genius went speedy as he built and put too many books and ingredients in cluttered space. Experiment, separate, combine, possibilities and theory. Explosions and shockwaves, windows and coffee pots. He put on a tight white physics lab coat, black dragon leather gloves up to his elbows, onyx round safety glasses, also makes you look insane. James took a stove and turned into a chemical station, glass blew a chemistry set he knew from chemistry, and some own ideas for sizes. He tasted, coughed, tinkered and thought like a processor about mathematics. Sometimes his thinking was indistinguishable from a cyborg hitting the ones and zeros. Eventually he came across a functional bomb that blinded, instilled fear, chemically burned, that could not be stopped with water, stunned and slowed your movement, and reduced your resistance against elements. Or less combined bombs also. James realized at the same time slowing with water ice magic and shooting with his plasma cannon would be a good combo, classical or simple. Being a lone wolf thinker lets you pursue inventing and science freely, motivated like there were enough people and you spent enough time. The introverted intensity for introverts is just this, the speed they should work on long experiments. He showed his new potion to Arnaud. I call the potion Jim Sauce, he said like Saucer Master. No, it's not steroids. Being 160 IQ makes you pursue inventing much longer than 140 IQ. The sun seemed like a morning ritual familiar as James peeked out of his dormitory sooty. He held a giant hand to his eyes as the sun covered half his vision. The air was so cold it was to isolate your feelings into getting weaker. Unreal gleaming sun on snow to weaken into fantasy. There was a deer with heart-shaped antlers together. It chewed on the tundra and wondered what the fuck was this human up doing. Maybe he could chew on his winter leather gear. James threw an explosive bomb. The deer flew like a ragdoll. God, I'm such a good hunter. We have heard you have good stuff, Kerr. And Red Orc said deep like a demon. Just a minute ago we inspected you. Forget fighting orcs, pay the laws of Ihenjar. I'm going to give you something to run away from like a scientist. James. An orc came with polearm ready to dodge. James threw throwing axe after throwing axe, one railgun, but the orc dashed with speed technique. Flawlessly, he could have had no armor because he took no damage. James, like the undead, breathed a wide cone of frost, chilling the orc to an icicle, then shot his head off with the cannon. Run away hither, tactical run away, best criminal for himself. They scattered in 8 directions and would maybe tell their friends this was not an easy target in the future. What would James do when the cannon ran out of battery? Toss his robot arm and return to the medieval yet quite magical times. He needed to make a battery, and he would crank it manually. James swept inside. He needed zinc, copper, lithium. He dismantled things small and large and outfitted his robot arm on the outside. In addition, one large cranking arm like on an old car. Third good idea, he made a lithium overload battery larger. Then he would crank and try to charge with lightning magic. What could possibly go wrong? Chapter Ihenjar Winter, North Pole Winter. The school was talking about a gay bodybuilder monster joining the herd. He was lovely like intuitive art. What was his unguessable weakness? What was his strong classes? Did he have a schedule for me? He looked like a giant bodybuilder with extra large shoulders, symmetrical and aesthetic. Thick sausage, long ginger hair, blue eyes, perfect chiseled manly face, black stubble. He made you stop and think, is this folly? But then you realized the cohesiveness, it was beautiful. Did you use steroids? James said, curious. What are steroids? He said in a lighter, misty voice like dragon leather silk. I like your muscles. Wow, you are bigger than me. I only like the aesthetics of muscle. Men, sorry, handsome boy. Can I have a handshake and just a hug? He shook like a man with a moustache and thus hugged like 2 muscle masses. Even some of the girls watching liked this somehow. Wow, you are a specimen, said Hugo Legpress, platonic. Welcome to bloody Ihenjar, the ritual is brawn. Hit me, I bet you strike like a demigod. I have never fought, I make peace not war. Cute noises. Come on, hit me, or your flowers are black and withering. He gave it some effort. James' jaw was permanently altered to the left like a pizza. Let me fix that face. And Hugo altered the face to the right instead of to the left. James was getting energized and hyperbolic. Wow, that was an experience. I feel like 1,000 baguettes, wise like a prophet. You're gonna like this. James charged up his fist like already punching. Infinite iron defense, Ironman chest day. He seemed covered chest in adjustable steel. Steel muscled flipped 180 degrees into a tank. Hugo tanked this with his chest thundering, sparks of steel. Relative mass, mass moves mass. James upped the power and threw a sexy punch that looked fluent blocking. Huge used the golden abs technique. The best part he can block with is his abs. Spectator. How do you know that? Isn't he new here? I am following him around. I only know this sentence to explain it. What? Que onkla mona si vista de seda, mona si queda. James punched him in the abs, lifting him up and altering his muscles in and back. Smoking, he went back up and looked beautiful. I stopped eating fried foods for you. I think we will welcome you to the cool Daniel gang. You are close. This can only be decided by a squat machine. It's literally a fancy machine, old school yet modernly filling the need. In the old bodybuilding, Wizard's gym, they had refitted steel dust to be sent on factory bands into boxes and shoulder beams of lifting, thus stable squat rack. Arnaud joined, smoking a cigar wide grinned. First 150 kilos, no need to start with lightweight. Hugo joined peaceful and lost. They lifted and twirled productively like a producer of noodle commercials. Only 12 repetitions. We don't want to train endurance, he said nervously. 1 minute break. Minus 200 kilos contemporary. Steel dust poured like muffins. The bodybuilders started working as speed machines. You could see how they could be strong being wide-shouldered and tall, like sweat between the muscles, not telling a complete picture. Arnaud barely got the weight up. Hind. Arnaud dropped down one knee at a time in pain, after being unable to get the lightweight back up again. Minus 275 kilos, nothing but in your mind, gentlemen. Hugo already felt like how could he lift 10 kilos more. The weight gave him perfect technique, being perfectly centered. James, you are making me upset, said Arnaud. Lightweight, said James thus. That was some good repetitions. Those 10 were almost as good as the previous 10. You can see it in their face how heavy it is. Minus 350. Hugo was starting to make heavy faces and veiny bulge. Who knew where the end was? Hugo pressed until you realize there is nothing more anyone can give. I can't do it. I can't join the famous gang. It's not possible. You guys have terrible fun times without me. James dropped the weight and said, Lightweight, no one can beat me at the squat machine. It's okay, said James, still having more to give like an infinite wine bottle. We just wanted to see what you were made of. There is no highest weight. Also, you had to beat Arnaud. Shut up, said Arnaud friendly. Snort asterisk. Daniel and the cooler Daniel welcomed Hugo to the team, tolerant of gayness like coolness in denial. As a unit, James climbed up the entire 40 levels until the top of the tower, on teal poison ivy like a magical lizard, convincing Arnaud to climb into wizard adventures. It wasn't normal for him thus. There was a wizard with whirring contraptions and teal stalagmites. He pulled out a casserole bent over as James' head popped up. It was not a casserole meant for mortal eyes. What are you doing? I'm trying to calibrate hamster air resistance with the ear reactor, quantify magic. There's a method to the numbers and boring signs of Einhenjar Cosmos. You should come to my lessons, magical history. My latest famous edit of history is pizzazz. I'm going to use my store-away clothes knick-knack whirly-tink. Summon Parmesan cheese. No, not that one. There's, how does that work, said Arnaud. It teleports something you own, fairly close into the thingamajig. Summon Wisdomston Mark II. We shall leave you to the casserole honorably. Can I have the recipe for the casserole? James started eating a hot dog. Give me something small, whirly-tink. Arnaud and James sat on the rooftop's content, chilled, deep of thought, at least of James, smoking new Arnaud pipeweed modernities. Look at that artificial university skyline. I feel like cosmopolitan students. This Wisdomston made by drunk monk Urek Uran Ursel is healthy thus. I feel sharper and decisive with every drag. People won't smoke it because it's not the same drag as being stupid. They smoke pipeweed into their brain and out of their ears. They puffed and exhaled through every crevice. They went through one small barrel each. There was smoke lingering around their faces, and they were conscious of it between value, price, and experience. I feel like I want to do something productive, itching. Arnaud fell through the roof of the university. Little did he know someone was doing exactly the same thing, cloud connected. After 30 minutes, do you believe in the Matrix? When you start asking the right questions, something pulls you back, both literally and from the Matrix. Weak sycophants emerged in power who act on evil and not themselves pull you into the power structure just like they pull themselves. We are all parts of the establishment, said Arnaud. No, you can totally be conscious of how you are. This is the last clingy wine. Like cheese, it is consumed while being fun and expensive. Never have I been able to afford enough delicacy cheese. It disappears like a wish. Arnaud was not ready for his scope of cheese. You must find going out of business cheese shop, bring the limits of cheekiness. You will be rewarded for your scope. This is like sitting down exercising. You are fun to be around like a high-energy cat, a maelstrom of malice. I'm glad to be able to call you my friend. I'm thinking like you right now. I am a feeler like a directed whirlwind, but you can match the insanity. Probably because we are equal combatants. Not too dry. There is a legend of the first warrior of Ihenjar, Huyi. Instead of dying, they said he would just go on a dwarven elevated train ride, endlessly through Einhenjar. He talked to travelers, shares his wisdom. People have said they have found him in the train. He can only exist in the train ride. He was promised to never die, and that is never the way you think. Maybe it's a nice train. For his wife is a different story. She was told she had to eventually die, so had no choice but to live through life's pleasures, games and drink, theatre and opera, then die. A story of continuity and inevitability. To live forever you must change your perspective. That is the lesson. James started mouthing some propane. You can drink propane, that's gnarly. It is a fuel rich in calories, smoky like a camel. I can drink propane too. Really? You don't need a spell. Arnaud drinks brutal cough cough asterisk, falls town sticking out and a naughty stare, turns unconscious. Enter magical bullshit. Are you vulnerable to your senses' pupils? What if I stunned you, swept your memory with my tea and stirred it into an antidote too hot to drink? The teacher Ignatius looked clever and was cunning. He had expertise and thought at least enough to be a step ahead. Long jawlines on a pale face with dirty wet-looking hair to his face cheeks. He dressed close-fitting in mostly black mixed with crystal purple armor. All through it can make you feel thick and uninterested sometimes. There are potions you can drink to increase your stun resistance. 3 months per potion. Build up the resistance, it's got the same half-life as coffee. He said interestingly a bit to himself, like contemplating curriculum. In the beginning it will make you feel healthy, in the end you will feel ennui. This class supplies you with 2 free potions, one long-term and one for the intense day. One funny side effect is that you tend to shave your hamster insanely. It is not guaranteed, but there are so many shaved hamsters. Yes, I know you get free hamsters from Jin's classes. Stuns are strategic of your born mind limitations. Just like pulling wool over your eyes, it is common. The school makes some affordable potions. Students learn to make them and students drink them, profit-free for you. There are some really terrible potions after potion classes you can buy cheaply also. Maybe we should pay you, give you a hug and give you a compliment. You want to write down every mind and senses alter where your opponent can beat you. James mentioned his bombs and everything it beats, kind of like an inventor. I see you have stepped in the same thought. Some sciences and breakthroughs are best left unexplored. Every bomb might be a mistake. Class, now we are going to practice mind-altering resistance, like probing, illusion and insanity. Test your minds for fun. Some minds are strong and for surprising reasons. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you're stable. The teacher put on a dangerous smile. Resist the temptation, use your willpower. Never break your attention span into the curious and dangerous. He smashed the overly bottom-thick purple vial in the center of the room. Gather round thus, he said vaguely, as the situation didn't require thus more. James felt the pull of something he knew he should not engage with. Eventually headlocked, he resisted. I think you're not stable enough because you haven't been treated human before in life, shame James. You are an excellent student, they say. James held on. This challenge didn't need a stable house. I can manage just fine clinging in grey wilderness. James thought I'm just not happy. I see Jack has thought, what happens if I give in into the intriguing unknown? Jack was pulled in double quick and exploded into the corner of the room upside down. Your curiosity will kill the cat here, or more like a shaved hamster really, being shaved efficiently running into the nitroglycerine. Boom goes the dynamite. And my coffee table, with the power of friendship I'm going to shave your head. A hamster is just part of rodents, might get a capybara instead. Pretty imaginable of the largest rodent. No, my head. With the power of friendship. I pretend the students are sheep when I shave them, he said in a weird way. Every time I'm shaving and the hamster walks into the bathroom, I want to shave it. Jack was pulled in again and exploded out the window. Everyone else passed, although you Evelyn you are sliding against and again like anxiety. Know that if you are a feeler when focused, your feelings are more powerful, discipline and maturity, right motivation and depth of a feeler. You're halfway to the middle in it, said a charming adult top student. He was happy no one had noticed his weaknesses. For the mind-probing part we have an alien, a master butt prober. He is harmless and useless really. Baron used to do it proficiently and professionally. It's about analyzing your brain, he said in a confusing Finnish-Japanese accent. When it was James' turn, he felt nothing at first. He was having some strange thoughts. Do you feel anything strange? Said Ignatius. It's the unusual things you need to remove. Focus on it like an idea and remove it like you could flush it away with a spell. Identify what's strange and not you. Every dark spirit feels like an opposite. More strangeness came in waves, and soon James spent going back and forth. When faced with powerful illusion you want to counterspell, sparkly unicorn fries and go backwards as you thought they had gone in your mind, it doesn't have to be entirely correct. It corrects itself with the spell. He looked at the class, what the creator of the spell gets to name it. The class held on grunting like mammoths, holding with the help of beams surreal. Remember class, we won't tolerate any use of lotus psychosis here. You will get kicked out of the dormitory. What's lotus psychosis? Said James like a main character to his classmates. It's a drug that ruins your personality into a zombie, only talking about popular fashion and movies, and claims the souls of someone you never knew. Eventually you are a zombie, parched and dry, desperate. People do it because they are addicted. It's a problem on Ihenjar. It's one of the few things that crushes plot armor. Maybe one should be careful criminalizing new drugs. You sound like an idiot. No, I just believe in decriminalization to reduce eventual crime, like an officer. If you make something like weed legal, you stop drug lords, syndicates, killings and systems, infrastructure of crime, their illegal tricks and ways. They have to walk and get normal jobs. Politically blind, thought her, influenced by his smarts like the sentences were clarity spells. James would learn to turn himself into a rabbit, the ultimate vegan spell, in transmog class through top skill and solitude, unwavering skill. You must learn of animals through your heart, not always thinking. Feel what you need to feel, be an animal. Understand animals, how they are brilliant, fine and different even if they are not as smart as a primate. But dolphins, parrots, especially grey African ones, can be as smart as schimpanzees. 50 IQ gorillas can vary greatly in intelligence individually, can have up to 85-90 IQ recorded cases like Coco the gorilla. Smarter than contemporary politicians. They just don't speak. You have to get the smarts through sign language. Gorilla deadlift record is 1,000 kilos, said James. I like to turn myself into a whale and beach on the bodybuilder shores. Tip, it is in the emotions, not always their behavior. Pet many animals, said a fat but short purple-dressed senior wizard. If you successfully turn into a rabbit, you can have some cilantro. Like a toad, she wasn't pretty, but had have people confidence in her conservativeness. She made everyone play fair and could implement any magical system, giving order and productivity indeed while doing so. James read through the many pages and details to the advanced magic. He was a machine only concerning skill. Before the teacher was done, he read lightning quick and poof turned himself into a black rabbit a meter long on his first attempt.
Yo.
Are you saying I'm not fast enough, James? Outstanding move. James went around the room at far from maximum speed, feeling inferior from the short height.
Oh, that's
He
frozen.
had a chiseled face, concerned with herbivore things, looked more dangerous than he was. It was quite pleasing traversing on 4 legs. You easily learned to coordinate and accelerate. Like, for example, if someone scared you, you would be balanced. The genius prodigy Nougat Nigel Learning University at 13 years old. You get this without effort, James said in a sexy, deep rabbit voice. James started
A little
biting a
bit
chair
overboard.
leg industrious. Honestly, I feel I miss a lot of information from school, even if easy. He felt proud over his life like an adult. Transforming and trying to take Smana, but not staying as an animal eventually through these classes. Pay attention. Smashing, said Nigel. Nigel read and realized in a different way but productive to him, puffed into a grey Angora rabbit with a walrus moustache. He shrunk like a machine. He jumped to James, they laid next to each other in different directions and flopped. What would the bunny do today? They were concerned with survival like stress. They stapled rabbits like two-dimensional pyramids, only to fall into frustration. In the end, half the class succeeded. It was as tricky thus, like ploughing through your entire mind and pushing one level higher.
Let me get a
Classical
glance.
tricky transmog, not everyone would succeed, thought Urquell. She was focused in the difficulty. The best thing to succeed in school is intelligence, maybe. Only the nth gets medium grades with high intelligence. Nigel's older sister indeed turned into the nicest dinosaur alligator. Next we will learn to inhabit strength and properties despite being a smaller animal. Some will always be lost. Second transmog class. Toad-looking Urquell Etchum teacher said outside. There are spells only when in animal form. Echoing breaching boing is used to scale tall schools, galleries, maybe escape with an explosive start and part of water counter magic. It's not unlike getting launched by a bomb, it works on herbivores. Our school is full of rabbits, the furniture is new through and my dress. Most of the progress practice jumping as an animal can be quickened with this Drakroot curry leg steroid extract. This is what the 1000 deposit for this class was for. No, it's not like those steroids with Beefex class. Think of a trampoline, wave your fingers in a spring and echo through the building diagonally. You've seen the students do it here, launching like steroid launchadors for late lunch. Attention was given to Urk as she bent her interesting fat body into squatting. Like this, Urquell turned into an azure rabbit boing and exploded 100 meters diagonally. Before you could say scaredy cat, the rabbits were flying in all directions like overpowered long-eared uncatchables. Wow, she's not a toad, said Hank's little brother upperbody Uriel. Uriel arugula, he was twice as wide as tall with a large grin and knuckles reaching the floor giantly, but he didn't look like a brute. With chicken legs, don't skip leg day even if your friend doesn't show up. Legs are fun, they are strong. Better train your most enduring, strongest muscle. This one is as useful as the practical lessons with Gentleman Ducard's easy magic to make you feel smart, although I don't have to motivate our spells being practical. Primal instincts. Practice channeling this arduous spell to increase vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch as an animal. The 1-meter hawk seagull
Oh, can
has
you
the
hear
best
that?
vision on Ihenjar, although useless at catching the prey they see. Imagine yourself as a seagull, crazy isn't it? You can also see infrared and ultraviolet at elite level. The world is purple. Makes you less aggressive, they say. The butterseal followed by the buttercelian has the best hearing, infinite ear holes almost. Listen to Ulrich fart fireballs through the room. There is planning, and there is a method. There is the terror pigeon, vicious, bloody history, 1.2-meter pigeon that gnaws with pointed teeth, loving of splattering blood over kinship, just really brutal. It makes nests with the
Kept all
bones of
those
the enemy.
roses.
White with stripes of fashionable blood red, like a crown around its neck the red makes, a sun like a stone age drawing it has on its stomach. It has razor claws feared by every living thing's medium-sized. It never
Yay,
lets go
breakfast and
once it nags
coffee.
on. Grandmothers have been carried west as far as Finchmark/Parrotmark. Showing submission is one way you might survive against it. What about the giant sea parrot? Yes, the 2.5 pirate parrot, bane of seamen like the diarrhea pigeon, has almost the most acute hearing, contemporary colors, and survive like alpha centaurs. Remember to offend and confuse it with curses. It swears like a sailor and will taunt you into cruel, tearful mistakes. If you get one as a pet, it will outlive you, and you get eaten. Smell the tiniest amount of poison, said a student average and sweaty. He smelled like coal. The Fatigastrider, cousin of Canadian elk, lives to be 400 and never eats a poison it can smell. It is clever and cannot eat everything its stomach cannot melt, can change wintry colors through its emotions, to fit in the environment, for example. Stand the taste of dwarf Guinness, said Arnaud. Keep going, said Urquell. Get a seizure from trying to touch too much. The galvanized smelly Beetleveld is a 1M touchy fella, disarms your opponent with smell, doesn't age as we know like the naked mole rat. Good luck getting through the tempered steel cuirass, so we call its chest, a test for staunchy men and magical cannoneering. Having stronger senses like a superhero is ideal,
Yay,
like
so first
imagine
I
if you were
have...
deaf. What did you say? Said
I'm so
Arnaud like he was
happy.
gurgling wine. I have beaten all these animals with a vicious baguette cudgel. I am the
Oh,
apex
great.
predator. Magic makes us apex
Well, we ate
predators.
4 clementines today and a
James
cucumber.
whacked him strongly with a baguette, which made Arnaud flip to the side and bring the seat and desk with him when his feet was poised the
Or anything
highest
in
in the
that
air.
one,
I'm sorry my friend is stupid. We're treating him acutely and desperately. James. I remember when we talked about the benefits of quantum mathematics with greedy
Alright, there it is.
population
50
control
hunter.
analysis, and he was setting up a luxury restaurant meal in the back. Now when we are going to practice over-exited senses, it wouldn't hurt if you set up a French meal. Like Arnaud had been the biggest
One
small sports
sandwich.
star, and had heard his significance, he set up a fine dining table with James and
I
their
love
friend
spending
Lord Jordan. They poshly drank in suits, and were
3 of
quiet in
these
pretending
if they were
privilege to the
baguette shaped
expertise
and
university.
bigger.
They say the cream rises to the top, said teacher. What does that say about you, Arnaud? I'm a barrels. You eat like a thick brown horse, said the fat kid. I don't concern myself with the opinions of the sheep, said Arnaud in upper echelons. Fat kid Fubar transformed into a rabbit and bit him in the forearm, and James twisted his nipple, which made Arnaud make a goatee bower sound. This works on French people. Going back to normal senses was disappointing, but motivated James to do more of his physical training. Once a bodybuilder, once an animal with stronger senses. One thing James did as a rabbit was discovering the grounds, magically warmer and green some places. Other animals understood him, but they didn't have a language. He exited the purple antioxidant beet bushes and saw Etchberg's delicacy store and Etchberg picnicking with his wife. Visibly he jumped to the parasol, thinking not to transform into a human. Wow, what a big cute rabbit, said Etchberg. He was baldening underneath his bowler hat, but still had a thick grey moustache down to his chin 2 ways, and the energy of his 50s. He was the kind of capitalist to celebrate growth with expensive wine bottles. Wherever I may make money, wherever I may roam, selling delicacy. James flopped, breathed quickly through his nose, staring Rabbit innocently and analyzingly. Do you want some of these dark chocolate-covered marshmallows with frozen raspberries? They're out of our stock now, he said more quiet. Om nom nom. James thought it would be funny to jump over their stomach again and again, and it was very bunny-like. We're drinking some celebrity-sweetened and aroma-infused wine. James popped into bodybuilding form, wearing an armless black and 20% white suit, striped and striped shirt, and logically matching pants. Do you have any port? Berkeley hamster, you like bodybuilding? I can barely use the dwarven exercise machine my wife bought for me. Any rabbit you might encounter might be a sexy man. You should train your entire body at once in 9 in it, she said, making you expect her to say anything else. Those machines are pretty boring, honesty, James said unexpectedly and kind of like wheezing. Sorry, I thought you were a stupid rabbit, said the wife vaguely. I have port fitting of Port Salut, he said, and expertly exited like a theatre writer. Our income is so erratic owning a shop, but we get a consistent amount of wizards. Looks like you're the closest to the university. Enter Port Edu 1104, with 2 expensive wine glasses and slices of cheese. I can thank you by inspecting your shop, analyzing do you have any stunning, mind-blowing cheese. I don't have any fat percentages, but I'm a gourmand. A gourmand makes you unhappy most the time. You're looking for new stunning things. You don't have to, but sure, Mr. Student. James left buying 8 boxes of marshmallow dark chocolate 70% off, Italian breadsticks varying in huge erratic sizes, a pear-shaped baguette with pear jam, delicacy coffee like Italian and Spanish, delicacy licorice that makes you cough smoke, and a wheel of green pesto pine nut black olive cheese that flavor-wise actually made complete sense. Obviously it was Dutch. As James left in the university horizon like a gunslinger, the man exclaimed to his wife, "That boy is crazy for buying a wheel of cheese. What is he going to do with that?" It was a big wheel. How much money did you make? Even in the night, James explored vegetation and other animals. There were bushes and holes dug by large animals filled with smaller animals. Every angle and exterior was noted by his brain, keeping it for some unknown use like explaining it to someone else. There were basements similar to the castle, almost catacombs, rooms being mostly accessible or with spells. Other rabbits were friendly and could have been other students. James crashed through the window of Etchberg's delicacy shop as a rabbit, having launched 100 meters approximately. What a big cute rabbit with the large ears. You're like a ball of hugs, said Etchberg with his moustaches almost muffling the voice. The room was dark wood with charming wooden rough tables, thick custom-made wide legs, sometimes barely cut. It was rustic and sold rustic coffee. It smelled of capital kind of nasty smells and breadsticks, fried lemon bread. James just nosed around herbs and carefully jumped. I have smelly cheese straight from Paris. Would you be a customer? I am not James Rabbit, said James deep and sexy. I am just a cannon.
True to the fika part here, we have 4 things. One the muffin. Always speak to your muffin, they might speak back. It's a bit of stupid meme. It comes from it was just exploring the floor for a little bit. We might need this anyway. I grabbed it, but it slipped out of my hand. It was a compilation of people who have errors in their brain. What's it called? So like brain rot or something? No, not that either. It was like, you know, what's your biggest brain fart? And somebody was like, yeah, I went to this cute lady, asked if I could pet her hamster, but it was a muffin. No, it's actually, it was this guy that was, he's going to answer his phone, but he answered his muffin instead. Something like that. It's pretty fucking funny. We should listen to that.
We're back in the weird wilderness of Ask Reddit, and let's get possibly the weirdest one out of the way first. This was posted by, deleted, was holding friend's baby sister. Meant to say, oh, she's so cute. Instead, I said, she's so hot. What's your biggest ever brain fart? I once went to an interview and as an introduction said, oh, nice to Monday. It wasn't even Monday. God knows what was going on in my brain. Hey, hamburger. Waiter, well done. Me? Thank you. Hey, do you want a coffee? Yeah, please. Sugar and milk. A black, 1 sugar. How do I make it black? Enjoy your meal. You too. Fuck. I was once spacing out over lunch in a cafe when a Michael Jackson song came on. I stopped eating and sat upright in surprise. Didn't Michael Jackson die? I was so confused until I came to my senses and realised that just because someone is on the radio doesn't mean that they're still alive. Using the flashlight app on my phone to search for my phone in the dark. Riding my bike around the neighbourhood, terrified that I couldn't find my bike. I once witnessed a friend pick up a spray bottle of eyeglass cleaner, forget he was wearing contacts instead of glasses, and spray himself directly in the eye. He then fell to the floor, screaming. Somehow, going through airport security makes my brain shut down. I'd put my bag in the tray, ready to go through the metal detector, and then immediately just picked it up again and started walking forward. Security had to yell at me several times before I snapped out of it. A few years ago, I couldn't find my shoes, so I booted up my computer with full intent to do a Google search on where they were. When I walked away from the computer while it was booting to get a drink or something, it was then I realised I was truly stupid. Yeah, that is pretty fucking stupid. You should ask Reddit. Poured my milk into a can of Pringles. Once I took a piss in my kitchen bin. I'm not even joking, like I just walked up to the bin and started pissing in it. As soon as I started pissing, I was like, hey, what What am
What?
I doing? I once forgot that
That's
the
stupid
hour
even for this.
between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. existed, as in time that morning went as follows. Missed my 11 a.m. class because of that. I was eating brownies with my friends at one of their houses, and my mum called. I accidentally answered my brownie. I got on the bus after
I never
a
lie
long
about these
night
things.
shift and asked the driver for 20
True.
cigarettes instead of a ticket. Forgot how to walk downstairs as I was walking downstairs. Oh, come on, brain, get it together. Yeah. This one concerns me. We used to keep Milo, a powdered drink, in a big metal tin. One day I wanted to have one, so I got my cup out, spooned some in, and boiled the electric jug. When it finished, I picked it up and filled the metal container to the brim. Then
It's better
picked
keep
my
it
cup
together
and
and
sat
posting
down on
this.
my couch. I didn't realise what I'd done until I tried to sip from my cup.
I don't understand what you fucking wrote there.
Electric jug? When you say electric jug, do you mean kettle? Who the hell says electric jug? I've been told I have electric jugs. Hey, you can't electric jug me. I try to turn the volume of my girlfriend's voice up with the knob on my car radio. Sometimes I get in my head when I want to get in a car.
Yeah, it
Goddamn
happens to
GTA.
us
I've tried to
sometimes.
control F bookshelves IRL before. In the 4th grade, I forgot my name and asked my teacher, who looked at me like I had 5 heads. There's one brain fart from a student, here's one from a teacher. A pupil answered a question correctly in class a few weeks ago, and for no reason, I just said poo to them instead of yes. I called my old boss mum on more than a few occasions.
More than a
Called
few
the pizza
occasions.
Delivery guy, baby. Oh, I can top that. I once had to go by taxi to take this little fella to the vet. I was talking to him in a cutesy voice the whole way to keep him calm, and ended up saying to the taxi driver, okay, cheers, thanks, gorgeous boy. Sometimes I wish I had a hole in my head that I could shoot air and water out of like a dolphin, and then I remember that I have a mouth. I occasionally forget how to read, e.g. W-O-R-K. What the hell is this, some Swedish chefism? I work at a fast food place and I forgot what a nickel was and how much it was worth for a few seconds. I kept asking for someone to go to the back and grab some spare this thing while waving the nickel around. I forgot how you say.
I mean, if I get stressed, if I work in a stressful place,
so I instead said, well, you know, the orange.
I'll be stressed for more than 30 minutes,
dipping
right?
with
My
you, fellow
brain
student. I say, or can you just pass the bum temperature stick?
stick.
What bum temperature stick?
It's alright.
You stick up the bum and it tells you.
If you're
Time,
usually
it was
smart,
the
having
word
these thoughts is
thermometer.
completely
I
fine.
forgot what a garage was called and called it a car house instead.
Garage. Hey, fellas, the
Garage.
Well, ooh-la-dee-da, Mr. Frenchman.
Well, what do you call it?
A car hole.
I once forgot the plural of cat. I was just reminded of the time I was writing an essay in the wee hours and couldn't for the life of me spell before correctly. It kept coming out as there. I once forgot how to spell other. Kept writing
I hurt my head when I was trying to unalive myself. I remember trying to walk downstairs and I could barely keep it together. It was like a...
and couldn't figure out why the hell
That's
it
more sad maybe than brain fart maybe. It happened in the middle of the stairs.
look right. I forgot how to spell the word who. I wrote it down, kept looking at it and saying, whoa! For me, it was the word eyes. I was 12 and writing something at school and could not remember for an hour. I think I came up with something truly fucking baroque that included a silent G.
If I'm mostly
I
better
had
now.
a huge project in my 7th grade English class. My brain was so exhausted that I forgot how to spell why. I searched up things like how to... We were playing a game at work where you name countries, beginning with each letter of the alphabet. A for Albania, B for Brazil, etc. R comes up. Colleague says Argentina. We were checking out Google's Street View of our office. My co-worker jumped up and said, "I'll go stand out the front, see if you can see me on air." My God, where do you work? In IT? My co-worker tried to explain to me that mice don't have bones. I heard two people in the lunchroom at work. "It's my birthday." "Oh, happy birthday. How are you still older than me?" Girl, 18, thought that pasta was harvested from the ocean floor like some sort of saltwater grass. One of my co-workers just got
I
her
can't relate
first
to any of these.
iPhone, and I was explaining to her how backing up to the cloud works. Her response: "Oh, what happens to the data when it rains though?" Co-worker: "Food tastes better after you eat it. I have 17 bottles of perfume. But some people don't even have that many toes. How do you type a capital 4? This sounds like a Yahoo Answers question. That'll be 4 years next May. We'll have lost them. Yeah, I'm okay. In the English language, if a word starts with a Q, it is almost always followed by a U. Oh yeah, what about croissant?
What about
I got Venus
croissants?
flytrap. One of the women who works in HR came over to my desk and stared at it for a long time, looking confused. Eventually, she asked, "Where are its eyes?" "Shh, he's sleeping." The accountant at my former company was challenged to name at least one member of the Beatles. After 5 minutes, he said, "John Voldemort." Lass at work said she was he thought 50% off in a product meant it costed $50 less, no matter the price. Is Japan in the European Union? She thought the countries in the UK were England, Wales, France, and Middlesbrough. A manager at a company where I used to work asked me to send her a file, so I emailed it as an attachment. 5 minutes later, when she was done looking at it, she asked
Something
me if I
stupid
needed
about
it back. Just last week,
you're
I had to
stupid as in
explain
Middlesbrough,
to my boss that me
talk
having
about it's
two
not the same
computer
thing, is it?
monitors does not use more internet. Co-worker, now partner, had to explain that wind isn't made by trees, that the first of a month isn't always on a Monday. She wouldn't believe me and told me my calendar was wrong. Polar bears are not from Poland, that the printer is not in fact low on cyanide, dubstep is not a band. Oh, Skrillex is my favourite song of theirs. That ice wasn't alive. Jesus. Yeah. To be fair, I had previously convinced her ice was alive. Someone in my old office thought King Kong was a true story. What do you mean I need to charge this thing? It's supposed to be
King Kong
wireless.
is a
Guy
true
at work,
story.
Barry, his laptop not turning on. You want to know
Ah.
something weird? I'm taller than my mum. Yeah, I'm taller
I
than
have
my
un-
mum too. No,
je-
you don't
je
understand.
suis-
She used to be taller than me.
Je
My
peux
co-worker
en
refused
croissant
to believe Peter
ici.
Dinklage from Game of Thrones was a little person in real life. She was convinced it was CGI trickery the whole way through. Oh, don't get me started on that show. The girls at my old job used to watch that. I had to explain that dragons weren't real, to which they looked up from their computers, shot me withering looks, and unironically said,
Matt, obviously dragons used to exist. Why do you think they used to have knights back then?
we had to make a site visit.
But it does exist a lizard that can spit fire, just a little bit, you know, and that's probably where the myth of dragons came from. Where else, you know? Makes sense. Someone comes home and they're like, you know, I saw a fucking lizard spit fire. The yellow-bellied lizard, right?
Saw a sign that said 65 miles to the site, and I said something like, "Oh, cool, got an hour left." Co-worker asked how I knew that. I said, "Well, seeing as we're travelling at 65 miles per hour, with 65 miles left in our trip, that's about an hour, give or take." She said that's not how that works. How fast you're going doesn't have anything to do with the time it takes to get there. How fast you're going doesn't have anything to do with the time it takes to get there. Bruh. My wife's colourblind, an old co-worker of mine was convinced that she wore all blue that my wife wouldn't be able to see her. My Gen Z co-worker had no idea what a thesaurus was. His best guess? A dinosaur? We had a girl declare in a tea room full of people that her
It's
husband
pretty
didn't
fair,
believe in
actually.
God. He was, what's the word? An anaesthetist. I used to work with a woman who was absolutely
Jesus.
convinced that spider webs were made from human skin. Why do the crossings beep? For blind
Why do
people.
croissants
Blind
beep?
people can't drive. I met a girl who tried to warn me about drinking water that had been boiled because she said it boiled away the hydration and you'd still die of thirst if you just drank that. This is the first thing I thought of since I have it pinned to my wall. Why can't is the vacation calendar on SharePoint read only? What you typed makes no sense. Call me that I understood what it meant. I just wanted to give my boss a hard time. Jeez, did he even really be far even has decided to use Even Go Want to look like? We complained to our IT worker that the system is running really slowly. She told us to send her a screenshot. Didn't realise you could increase the size of web pages. He had Google open on like a quarter of his screen and pulled out a magnifying glass to see it better. Laptop was overheating, so she poured water on it. In the last 2 weeks, within 5 minutes of this guy touching a computer, his died, motherboard and 2 hard drives. He's the technological harbinger of death. Skull emoji! A guy I work with said that a football referee runs over the distance of a marathon during a game. I pointed out that a football game was only 90 minutes long and that the marathon record was just over 2 hours, so that would be impossible. He said it was possible because a football referee changes direction a lot during a game, and it all adds up. One girl told me she didn't believe in the Mongols because, well, they seem a bit far-fetched. Blowing balloons up with my own air, you know, no gas, etc., prior to a party. No, don't blow up the balloons that fall to the floor. Blow up the floating balloons. What? We need to use helium for that? No, you're just not bothering. That's what it is. Dude, stop being an arsehole. Just blow helium for her, yeah? I mean, that's absolutely true. If a balloon sinks like that, we all know it's because helium is a state of mind. So drink your wine and get your head in the zone, yeah? Now blow up that balloon, and if you think that you're blowing helium, then guess what, mate? Once you've tied the knot in that balloon, you will have breathed helium, because you can do anything with a positive attitude. I saw a tattooist I worked with tattoo Laugh Now Cry Ladder across a guy's chest. I worked with a guy who decided to look for a propane leak on the forklift with a lighter. Didn't work with him after that. All right, coffin to a funeral. An old co-worker named James, we worked at McDonald's.
A coffin to a funeral.
We're both 16. One time, while mopping the lobby, he, for some unknown reason, decided to chase a number of customers around with the mop, yelling, "I'm gonna get you!" He was fired on the spot. I keep picturing him at a job interview. So, why did you leave your last job? My last job? Oh yeah, why did I leave? New guy was told to wear oven mitts to carry a very hot hotel pan. Guy said, "Don't worry, I'm strong." Proceeded to burn his hands and forearms and drop $300 worth of product. Did he think the purpose of the mitts was to make weak people stronger? This guy, he always tried to hide at work to avoid working. One day, I was looking for him and I stepped into the bathroom. I notice a shoe print on the back of the toilet and I look up, one of the ceiling tiles is pushed a little to the side. I climb up there and this motherfucker is hiding the ceiling. One of the lifeguards was really hungover, so we took a shit in the pool so we didn't have to open up for the day. Well, no, now that's a stroke of genius. And finally, my co-worker at the bowling alley had to walk down a lane where a group of very young children, maybe 4 to 8 years old, were bowling to retrieve a ball that had stopped in the gutter about halfway down to the pins. When he'd picked up the ball, my other co-worker told him to go walk it back down to the children. However, this guy had it in his mind that it would be best to bowl it back down at the group of small children instead. You say small children, I say larger pins.
You're fired. Why don't you kiss the princess? I don't care about frog tokens. I'm a brave young sailor, runescape, fisherman, sailor. What? What? There's many like this. It's the Bad Parrots is a good one from Matt Rose as well. Very funny. I managed to send What the fuck is that? This one is really funny. I am LGBT and I think this is funny. How my LGBT won't turn on. That's an honest mistake. That's like, it's just a thinker or an analyst type of humor or joke. It's just like, oh, maybe I can't get by with making that joke actually. I am not conceited just because I say it. Gonna have to get a coffee after that. Let's see here. Loaf, very Swedish purple coffee, ice, salted caramel. People die. Let's keep watching this one.
Is old. Why are you afraid of plumbers? He's drinking beer because he's unhappy. C'est moi qui la tue.
C'est moi qui a la
Just one of those
tue,
handy
mais
little
je
phrases if you're
le
travelling
ferai
through France.
jamais.
I'm the one who killed him, but I'll never confess. Touch it! My students learn slowly. Cows are more intelligent. You have shoes and you're going to give them to me. My daughter died. Oh my god, that is awful. And became a zombie that tried to eat my brain. Carrie doesn't like to sleep in the afternoon. What's her problem? I sell refrigerators. Do you understand?
Capsisi?
Is he near me? Well, I laughed because you look like an angry crocodile. There is a lot of water in my body. Do you...
It is AI, isn't it? Killer sandwich. I mean, let's go back to my book, shall we?
Deep and sexy. I am just
Deep
a
fried and
cannonball
sexy.
rabbit. Is it bad luck being shot through the window by a rabbit? You shoot rabbits through the window for luck. That's just sick. James
just
finally
sick.
pushed into unyielding chest day form. Honestly, I am going crazy, he said, hyperbolic, from the delicacy cheese. It's like a party in Valhalla. You instantly want some more, like a lover leaving your room. Do you have any more? Anything from the same brand? We have dried tomato, garlic, sage cheese from the same brand, said Etchberg, nailing another customer like a carpenter, putting in a nail with one hammer strike. I'll buy it, I think, but can I try it anyway? Back to rabbit form, omnomnom. Wow, that is some fatty flavors, like a mix between two delicacy smooth butters. Do you want a wheel again?
Well, what
If
else
it's
can we
interesting,
do?
James
Is anything
transformed
else?
back into human form. Do you want me to donate an ingot to this
I have to
fine
stop
small
YouTube
business?
stream. I don't know.
Yes, I think I do, sir. I'll buy 3 wheels then, 9,000 quid, right? Cheese is expensive. Etchberg went and brought the 3 wheels he had.
I want to watch some YouTube videos. You can just come over to YouTube, Twitch. Twitch and YouTube, the rest will just kill a rabbit.